Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of I Like Art Podcast. And I am so thrilled and honored and excited to introduce you today to one of my favorite artists and friends. And you are just going to love this interview. I am so excited to chat with her. Before we get started, I just want to let you guys know about the artist. She is a self-taught visual artist working primarily in mixed media analog collage. She is the founder and passionate facilitator of the online platform called Wilder Collage. Her work has been collected in more than 4 countries and has been shown in group exhibitions with PxP Contemporary, Arts to Hearts Project, BHA Gallery, and more. You can find her most recent series titled Pour available through PxP Contemporary Gallery, and I will have the link to that in the show notes. And without further ado, I would love to introduce you to an amazing artist and friend of mine, Elyse Jokinen. Welcome to I Like Art Podcast, Elyse.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I am so excited to be here with you today. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Oh my goodness. There's so much to talk about. And I don't know if there will ever be enough time, but I absolutely am so thrilled to talk to you. Thank you for your time today. You are currently in Hawaii. Am I right? And
Yes.
you have moved and you have a very, very interesting story. I know my listeners would love to hear all about your journey becoming an artist. So let's get started. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
I'm
Okay,
ready.
Elyse. Well, I would love for you to share your story. So go back as far as you want. What was your childhood like? Did you make art as a kid? What age did you know you were an artist? So as far back as you want to go, what was young Elyse like?
Yes, I'm going to jump right into that. Sarah, I just want to thank you, first of all, so much for having me. And I've been a fan of your podcast. I just have to tell you this. I'm pretty sure I've listened to every single episode. So congrats on a year. And
Oh,
I'm just
thank
so
you.
excited to be on the show that I have been listening to for over a year. So thank you so much
Yay.
for having me.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for
Yes.
listening. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. Love it.
Yes. So I'm so happy to share. I've been a creative, like many of the artists that share on the podcast, pretty much my whole life. But I wouldn't have called myself an artist until probably here in my 30s. But it started really young. I have 2 very creative sisters that I grew up in a household with, and um, I've been creating collage for a really long time. Like my first memories of collage, I've shared this before, is in comics. My older sister used to cut the little people in the comic strips like out, and we would take them from like one and put them in another, and
Fun.
just kind of make new stories with it. And that's like the first I really remember of like collage. And then I kind of would get into magazines, and I would just, cut magazines up and create new images. I think I collaged over the top of every single notebook and book I ever had, like through junior high school. Like I was always just like cutting and pasting and taping things to other things. And so that's kind of my earliest memory of collage. And then as the years went on, and in school, I was always the one that would like make the group posters and do it was like, Elyse, draw this or write this. Like I would always like have to write everything and make everything and do posters for like painting the prompt. I would do
Mhm.
like all of that kind of stuff. So I was very creative. But I never saw art as like, something that I was going to do, or I would have never called myself an artist. And so it really was um, calling myself an artist in my 30s. I kind of dabbled in photography. So I had been making collage kind of all the way through this. And then I started dabbling in photography after I had my first son in 2017. Um, and that was really where I started studying, light and composition and texture and all of that, and, getting involved in the artist community online that way. And kind of discovering my art through photography. And then it was like an explosion. I found the collage community online, and I just really didn't know that existed out there. And so that was a huge breakthrough in just like art for me. Um, I had moved around so much like throughout my 20s, and I always carried around what I called like my creative bin of literal clippings that I brought from state to state as I was moving. And I was like, there are other people out there with like, huge bins of clippings and paper and that glue and paste and cut and just like me. So it was just such a huge an amazing discovery. And I kind of took it and ran.
Mm, I love it. I think it's really, really interesting that just to touch on what you said about when you're growing up and you're always making things and you were, clipping things out of comic strips and then making the posters for school. And then even as an adult, you never considered yourself an artist until you made that decision to become an artist. I don't know if that meant you made the decision to become a professional artist or pursue art as a career, but truthfully, there isn't a difference, right? So yeah. It's
Yeah,
just so
definitely.
interesting to me and not
Yes.
uncommon, but I just wanted to point that out because you've been an artist all along, right?
Yes,
So,
definitely, definitely. And even now, there's that imposter syndrome that comes up
mhm,
where I'm like, oh my gosh, am I an artist? And like you said, yeah, it's like always creating. And I think it really was making that conscious decision to be like, art will be a part of my life forever.
mhm.
And I think that was almost like the switch of like, this brings me so much joy, like happiness, like it really does, being able to sit here. Like right now I look out into my room and it's just like color and scraps and paper, and it's so happy. And I'm like, I'm never going to let this not be a part of my life. I'm an artist.
Yes,
I'm doing this thing for sure.
I love it. Okay. Ooh, that's really good. Okay, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
What now you have 2 kids. What does
Yes.
a typical, and I don't know, maybe before we talk about this, but do you want to talk about your transition from you were in Minneapolis, you've moved quite a bit, and then now you're in Hawaii. Um, I don't know. Is there anything you want to
Yeah.
touch on that?
Yeah, definitely. I've moved around a lot. Just I grew up in northern Minnesota. I think that's one of the things that I feel so connected with you, and I love the podcast so much because it just feels like home in a way. It like just and you and because we were Midwest. I grew up in the Midwest, and I lived there for a while before we moved here to Hawaii, but I've really lived kind of all over. And it has been a transition for sure. Every single move, I think it takes time to transition. And we moved here for my husband's job, and we're just trying to really enjoy it. Who knows what the future brings? I've always been a very open person. And it's in my work a lot of just like being on the road and not having a specific place. It's something that I try to bring into my work and understand through my work. And I don't know if I'm fully there yet, but it's something I'm always exploring. And it's been a transition, and I'm just grateful for where I am right now and being with my family.
Oh, what an adventure. I think that's so
Yeah,
cool. I
yeah,
love that.
definitely.
I have not moved out of the state of Michigan, so I think I'm going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
But it's just really inspiring to see that. And you have such a great attitude about it. And you're really embracing the change and looking at it as an adventure. And yes, to the Midwestern roots, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, of
Yes.
course. Maybe that's partly why I was like, I need to be friends with her. She's
Yeah.
cool. Um, it's funny because someone left a review and said something about my northern accent. I was like, what are you talking
Mm.
about? But shout out to the Midwest. Oh, thank you
Yes.
so much. And okay. So it's just always so fascinating when people move and, it seems like you moved to Hawaii. There really wasn't a whole lot of time when you were back on Instagram and doing things. And I just commend you for adapting so quickly. I think that's just amazing. And you should be proud of yourself for that for
Oh,
sure.
thank you. Thank you.
So, okay. I want to talk about a typical day, but I don't think we're ready for that question yet. So I met you through the Art Queens membership. What has joining that community done for you as an artist slash person, and how did that encourage or inspire your idea of creating your own community? Those are like 2 questions. So,
Yeah. Great questions. And I mean, the power of, I think the timing of the Art Queens was so incredible. Kat had posted it. I joined on day one, and it was really kind of at that same time of like colliding with finding and discovering the collage community. So it really was just like this really big awakening. It was like, wow, like look at all of the opportunity online. And so yeah, joining that community was so huge for me, connecting with all of the incredible women. I've met so many people, and it's really powerful to be a part of a community. And I absolutely adore the Art Queens. A lot of them are painters, for the most part, I would say.
Mhm.
And it has always been, it had always been kind of in my mind of like, wow, imagine if this was, all collage artists, how cool that would be.
Mhm.
But that was a few years, that kind of went by where I was in the Art Queens. I'm still a part of the membership, and just learning and growing and sharing it makes such a difference to have people surrounding you that have your back, I guess, in a way, and share and collaborate. And it's so powerful to have
Mhm.
people around you to do that with.
Yes, and encouraging.
Encouraging, yes,
uh,
so much.
Community over competition. That's a huge lesson that I've
Yeah,
meeting
it kind of
other.
they show you, what's possible and what's around. And learning, I'm a seeker, I'm a lifelong learner. So I think if anybody is, someone who enjoys learning, I'm always trying to take classes, not as much anymore. I have to be, really picky with that. But there was a while there where I was just in classes and learning, and
Mhm.
being a part of a community can really just speed things up, I guess, when it comes to
Yes.
what's out there,
Yeah. If you
what
have a
can I get
question, you
involved
just
in?
throw it in there.
Yes,
It's like Google, but very specific. And
yes.
yeah, you're gonna get.
Trust people you can trust.
Yeah, you just don't
Yeah.
know who. Yeah, you have a little more trust in the answer. You know that they're out there to help you, and it's so amazing. Now, I will like
Mhm.
to say that being a part of that community, and I love that you mentioned that you're still a part of it. So,
Mhm.
because you have your own community, there's something really cool about being a part of, if you join something that's amazing, but also being open to the idea of being a part of more than one community.
Mm.
So another example of this would be Andy J. Pizza has his Creative Pep Talk podcast. I'm a huge fan of his show.
Yes.
He has a Patreon, and for a very small fee, you can join that. And he's starting a community, and they did a Zoom call. So I joined one of the attainable, like his membership. It's not even a membership. It's just you help support his podcast. And then he
Okay.
did the Zoom call, and I attended that Zoom call, and it was really cool
Cool.
because it's the Art Queens, is a very specific group of artists, like you said, a lot of painters. And
Yep.
then this Zoom call I was on was like illustrators and designers and men and women.
Cool.
And it was just really neat to get that perspective. So I want to encourage listeners to be open to that idea of you can be a part of more than one thing, and you're
Yeah.
going to gain all these different perspectives. So I love that I'm talking to you today about collage, because it's just so amazing. And I could not be more supportive of what you're doing and excited. So
Yes.
with that, I
Thank you.
feel like let's just talk about Wilder Collage, shall we?
Yeah.
When did it
Yeah. Let's do
start?
that.
When, why, what is it today? What do you want to do? Tell us all the things, Elyse, because we want to know.
Yes. Yes. I am so excited to share. It's really been growing in an amazing way. And I started doodling about Wilder Collage, gosh, like 2 years ago, probably. Like I go back in my sketchbooks and I see like Wilder Collage, and I would draw it and doodle it, but it wasn't anything yet. And then I kind of started a Instagram page where I was, just kind of collecting inspiration, connecting with artists that I had found that were, I was like, wow, like look at their work. And so kind of sharing it there. So it was a Instagram page for a long time. And then I was like, how do I go deeper than even that? Because it was nice. It was like I would find someone's work, I would share it, and then we would like both move on with our day, and I would, who
Mhm.
knows when I would connect with them again. And so I was like, let's find a way to where we can all kind of get together and even go a little bit deeper than Instagram, which Instagram's an amazing tool, but it's very surface.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's go deep. So I had been kind of waiting for the right thing to come along, and I wasn't quite sure. And then I discovered Patreon. So the Wilder Collage community is powered by Patreon, and it really is kind of its own separate platform. It's almost like its own little Facebook outside of the Instagram. And so it's a membership. There's a couple different tiers where people can join. I try to make it accessible. There's like a supporting tier, which is amazing. We have quite a few people that are there that are just like, inspired by the work. I do Instagram lives and stuff like that. So it's just kind of supporting the work that I'm doing. And then there's 2 membership opportunities with a Glue or a Beam membership, and that's to join the calls. And so we're doing calls that have been so fun. I have an artist talk once a month where somebody comes in and hosts the call in the collage community. So it's very collage specific. There's an Instagram live once a month, which is accessible to, everybody. Anyone that's on Instagram can join that. And then there's a Beam membership where it has, a directory and different opportunities. So there is something for everybody. And there are people that are in it that are, of every age, every background. Some just started with collage. Some have been doing collage for 20 years, so it really is a diverse group of people. Incredible artists, and I'm inspired by it every single day. It is growing, it's amazing, and it's an amazing group of people.
I joined.
Yes, you were one of the very first members, Sarah. So I am
Yeah.
just
It
so
was a heck
grateful.
yes. It was like
Yeah,
I'm not even sure. I was like, I have to do this. I love everything
awesome.
Elyse does. This is amazing. And
Uh,
I haven't had a chance to be on a ton of the live calls yet, but just from being a part of I think I've been on one actually. It's
yeah,
just so cool to meet different artists, see what they're doing, even talk about process and appreciate as a painter, appreciate collage for what it is, learn about it, think about ways I can apply it to my practice, think about, yeah, because my wheels are spinning, man.
uh,
It's gonna be good. So,
I
but
love
yeah,
it.
it's just so amazing to, yeah, even to see these other artists talk about their practice as collage artists. I think it's just a really cool way to learn from somebody and to dive deeper into a new genre or new medium. So, yes,
Yes,
so
awesome.
amazing. And just the nicest, coolest people, right? It's just
Yes,
yeah.
yes, I am just blown away by the people that have joined the artist, talented and connecting. It's so fun to see, them connecting and creating different opportunities. And one of the calls, so there's the artist talk and then there's a studio call, which is really cool. We kind of invite anybody to share, what's on their table right now. So it's really just like accountability. So it's like sharing, what are you working on? And then having you, like you said, that encouragement. So everyone gets a chance to say, this is what's on my table right now. This is what I'm working towards. And, some people have lofty goals that are, gallery representation. Some are just like, I want to make more. Like, I just want to
Mhm.
get to my table more. And it's just like being able to encourage everybody wherever they are, on
Mhm.
their path and whatever their goals are. So it's so fun. And I'm just so excited to see, where it goes too.
Yeah. You're the perfect person for this because
Mm,
you have a lot of energy, Elise. You're very warm, you're very welcoming. You definitely meet people where they're at. You are encouraging, and I just could not say enough nice things about you and what you're doing. And it's really fun to watch this unfold and happen.
yeah,
And it's only going to grow more and more.
thank
Now, what do you
you.
think about? Okay, so I have listeners who are artists. I have listeners
Yes.
who are not necessarily people who think they're artists yet. And I don't think you have to become a professional like us to be an artist. So if there's somebody out there who wants to become involved in a community, why collage? What is it about collage that you're in love with, that makes it so special, that makes it accessible? What I'm just, I don't know, I
Yeah.
just want to know what you think about this.
Definitely. Thank you so much for asking. And I'm so excited. It was one of the things I was most excited to be on the podcast because I know, your listeners, it ranges. There's professional artists that listen, as well as like creatively curious and everything in between. And so I'm so excited for a chance to kind of champion for collage because it really is such an accessible art that, especially if there's someone that's like, I want to find a way to be more creative in my life, but do I go out and buy, paints and an easel and all of that? Like, you can literally start collage right now. Pretty much everyone has what they need probably in their home, and if they don't, they could go out and get what they need for, you know they could get started today if they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And so just finding getting that creativity out in any way. And I just feel like collage can be so magical. It's so fun to hunt for materials, and whether that's, the magazine that's on your coffee table right now, or I like to go out and find, discarded books. I mainly work with books, and it's so fun to find what you're interested in. And all of us are interested in different things. So all of us would go out and we would find 3 different books, and all of them would be different. Everything we make would be different. We're attracted to different things. So when you're tearing pages out or tearing, people, colors, shapes, like everyone's is going to be so different. So I feel like that's kind of a magical part of collage,
Mm-hmm.
is like, what's going to end up in your hands, what's going to be discarded that you find, and then what pieces of that are you going to put together. And so it's all just like such this magical process, but just such an accessible process. And there's, so much online, joining some type of community. Even if anybody just follows along on Wilder Collage, I post, different work from all over the world every single day. And so just being inspired by all of the different techniques that are out there, it's endless and it is available. And so it's just such a amazing, practice. And I just encourage anybody to just give it a try. Grab a pair of scissors, I like to collage on top of watercolor paper because it's a little bit thicker for the gluing, but even a simple glue stick and scissors and paper, and you can get started. So it's there.
Yes.
And then, you can kind of build from there. And mixing media is super fun. So it's just such a fun way I just say, grab a sketchbook and just start, like a watercolor sketchbook, and get started. And it's just can evolve and change. And the more you learn, the more you practice, and the more you experiment. It's just fun. I
Yeah,
love it. And I think everyone should try, at
I
least
know.
try.
And having fun is so important. It's
Yes.
overlooked, especially for grown-ups. We need to have more
Yes.
fun. So this is a really great, accessible way to become inspired and to get into getting, back into creating again. And that's
Yes.
why I also love talking to you today, because collage is a very great way, just for all those reasons
Hmm.
that you listed. So thank you so
Yes.
much for that.
Yeah.
And what does a typical day look like for you? Because you're also a practicing artist. You have your collage work, like I mentioned, you have your newest series available through PxP Contemporary online.
Yes.
So how do you balance that and being a mom and doing everything that you do? What is it?
I appreciate that. And it's funny because I was like thinking about this and I'm like, well, there really is no, as you probably know, like there is no typical day. Every day is so wildly different. And I'm learning to roll with that. I'm very much a Virgo. Like before kids, I was always 15 minutes early for everything. And now I'm just like making it work. And so even I appreciate all the compliments you gave me in the beginning of like being able to, but I have to be 100% honest. Like it's difficult some days. Some days it's a lot easier than others. Um, some days I feel really on top of it and I'm like boom, boom, boom. And then some days I'm like, oh my gosh, very overwhelmed. But it really is every single day just doing what I can to the best I can and trying, to be present in whatever task I'm doing. So really like a typical day where my kiddos are at school, I have a preschooler and a kindergartner. And so that's kind of new for me having a little bit of time. So just really managing my time really well. And when they're gone for like the little chunk of the morning, that's really when I'm, sit down at my desk and I do some admin. and just, keeping the ball rolling with Wilder Collage and all of that. And then in the evenings, once the kids go to bed, is kind of when I typically will do like the art time, because then things are quiet. There's nothing pressing for the day. It's hard when things are kind of chaotic for me to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
And I love so many things. So it can be tricky sometimes because, I love to write and do all of the things. So it's really just being the master of prioritizing what actually needs to get done today. What do I
Mm-hmm.
want to do today? There have been many, many nights where it's dinner time and I haven't even thought about dinner yet. Just to be super honest, there are different balls that have gotten dropped. But I make sure that it is mainly my house is what suffers.
Yeah.
It's just, you can't do absolutely everything all the time. So I've just been getting more and more comfortable with asking for help when I need help,
Mm-hmm.
and doing the best that I can with what I'm currently doing. But it is not all wonderful all the time. I don't do an amazing job all of the time, but I always try. I'm always,
Mm-hmm.
trying to, and I making things a priority by really, I live by my calendar. I write every single thing down. I carry it. It's big. I carry it with me like everywhere I go, because there's school stuff and art stuff, and it is all a big mix. And I've mixed it all together.
Mm-hmm.
I really tried to kind of, and it's just hard
Mm-hmm.
to put it
Mm-hmm.
all in its separate spot, but doing the best I can. And I just
Yeah.
appreciate that. And we make it
Yeah.
work. We're,
Yes.
women inspire me, mothers inspire me, artists inspire me. We're making it work.
Yeah. It's a next level when you have
Yes.
when you throw kids in there. It is, and
Yes.
there are seasons where your kids are sick all the time, or it's summer and they're home and you may not get as much done.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, I know for me, I've tried to make a schedule. So, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I do the admin stuff. And
Okay.
unfortunately for me, appointments creep up and they're all over the place,
Yeah.
and so it's kind of like you, I just figure it out, like
Yeah.
what has to happen. Am
Yep.
I in a major studio creation mode, or, is this week more of an admin week? And
Yeah.
then, yeah, just really, it's like throwing out that idea of perfection and having this like really neat and tidy schedule for now. It's just, oh, I have an hour. What can I get done? What can I
Yes.
squeeze in there? So,
Yeah, definitely. And each Sunday night, I do like a calendar for the refrigerator, like
hmm
the post-it notes have like
hmm
the weekly thing. And so I will sit down every Sunday night and then I post that up and I'm like, if anybody in the family has anything else they need to add, and I, put podcasts and live
hmm
calls and
hmm
Zoom calls. So like, this is what I'm doing. This is what all the kids are doing. And my husband can add stuff to it. And so, yeah, it's just like the master of, kind of piecing it all together. But my work is a priority because it gets to a point where like, I
yeah,
need to. And
yeah.
so usually it's like the evenings. I will once the kids are sleeping
hmm
and it's like quiet, but then I do date night once a week with my husband too, just to make sure him and
Oh,
I are
nice.
like
Yeah.
on the same page. So we'll get food and watch a show like usually Friday night. So yeah, but
Nice.
it's a juggle. It's a
Yeah.
juggle.
It's a puzzle. I like to think of it that way.
Hmm.
And you definitely make time for yourself and your self-care. I know that you are big on exercise and
Hmm.
being active and all of that, and that's part of it. And yeah, so
Yeah,
it does get
definitely.
easier when your kiddos get older in a way, but then it's also
Okay.
harder too. So my
Yeah.
kids are more like teenager. My youngest is 9, and there's a lot of emotional, mental things. And then
Yes.
it's a
Yes.
different, it's just a whole different thing. It's a whole different
Yeah.
ball game. So
Yeah.
yeah, but
Definitely.
yeah, I think, and I don't know if you've ever had a period of time, just I'm speaking on the part of being an artist and a mom. There's a season where you're so busy and you feel like,
Hmm.
oh my goodness. But I know when I've been in those situations, I've just told myself, the last thing you want to do is quit, right? It's like,
Yes.
if you can not worry about the marketing today, but keep creating, that's like
Yes.
for me, my baseline. So definitely I just wanted, I don't know why I wanted to bring that up. So
Yeah. Yes, I totally agree with that. And there are times where you just, yeah, it's like almost like if you think of a graph, it's like down and then you have like the big creation times and you're like
mhm.
really doing a lot, but you just have to keep it going. And that
Yeah,
is it's so important to just keep moving forward for sure.
right. Baby steps. Do you
Baby
feel
steps.
that because you're a mom and you're doing all that, do you feel like things take longer than you plan? Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. And there are even projects that like I haven't put in motion yet because I'm like, I have to be really, I have to make sure that I am real with myself.
Mhm.
There's a lot of stuff that probably I would do during the week that I could probably do in one day, but I have to kind of space it out throughout the week. So definitely. Um, and it is what it is right now. So I'm just really, really grateful that I have small children and I still get to be in it and
Mhm.
doing all of this. There's a lot of the art queens that like put their art careers on hold for the entire time they were raising their kids and now they're
Yeah.
kind of back.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, you know what? I'm just doing what I can in the moment. But there are big projects that I would, love to take on that I haven't
Mhm.
yet. Just being real with myself and,
Yeah.
my time for sure. And making sure I don't get overwhelmed. And
Mhm.
it is that fine balance. But especially as I'm getting older, I'm more self-aware of like this is what I can handle. And I know I'm not going to overdo it because I
Mhm.
want to be able to keep going and it's just
Yes.
important.
Did you have did you have a moment when you had your ideas for creating this community where you thought, why? Because I've had these similar feelings. Like when I wanted to start the
Mm,
podcast, it was like, oh
mhm.
man, do I really like the idea would not leave me alone? It just kept
Yeah.
tapping me on the shoulder. And it's like, my life would be so easy if I was a studio artist and made my paintings and that was it because of my
Mhm.
family too. But
Yeah.
then it doesn't fulfill this other part of me that I mean, I couldn't be happier that I started the podcast. And it took
Yeah.
me way longer than a normal person would to even figure out how to create the podcast. So was it like
Yeah.
that for you with Wilder? Did you feel like, oh gosh, why me? Why won't this idea leave me alone? Like almost,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And it's funny that you're doing it because I have absolutely felt that. And I kind of laugh at myself because I always said, when I've been home with my boys and once they were both into school, I was like, the first week I'm just gonna lay on the floor for like because it's been years of, where I've been home
Yeah.
taking care of them all day, every day. And I literally put my little one in preschool and like got home that day and was like, I'm gonna launch Wilder.
Yes.
And like I did not even take a day to like I was like, yay. And so that was kind of my point where I was like, okay, now I'm going to have, 4 hours in the morning throughout the week, every morning, so I can do this now. But
Hmm.
before that, it really was not possible. And I had tried to even do different things, like even with the art queens, like I had tried, but just kind of dipping my toe in. And I was like, you know what? It's almost when they're both home, like, especially during pandemic, it was like near impossible to
Yeah.
do anything. And I was like, this is what's important right now.
Hmm.
But now I actually have a little bit of time. And so I'm working on it. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's really tricky, I think, sometimes. And it's really just being self-aware, but also you do want to fulfill that. So um it was something that came, and it was like I said, I had been doodling it in my notebook and I'm like, how can I make this work? And then I had discovered Patreon through one of the art queens during a call. She talked
Hmm.
about Patreon and shared about it, and I was like, that's it. Inga, she's a
Yeah.
flower artist,
Yes.
amazing,
I'll
and
put
is
a
like
link to
rocking
Inga. She's
Patreon.
awesome.
Yeah. And I watched her art queens call and was like, okay. And then it all just kind of worked out. Like you said, the
Yes.
puzzle, it was like the pieces of it finally fit. And so
Hmm.
it was, I waited until the pieces fit. And
Mm.
there's other things that I have that I'm like brewing, but I'm like,
Mm.
not yet, not
Ah,
yet.
I'm going to
Um,
ask you that,
I know,
right?
I know, I know, I know.
Okay. Um, what what do you want to do? Let's just talk about next year. I know you've got a lot of ideas. What's next for you and for Wilder? What do you want to share? Let me just say that.
Yeah. I appreciate you asking. And this was something I also was kind of thinking about. And I was like, 2022. So Wilder, I launched at the very end of August. So it really is new. And so I'm like, this is kind of just putting the roots down, seeing what's working, seeing what's, how I can support and facilitate. I really consider myself like the facilitator at Wilder, where I'm just as excited in the calls. Like it's just like, such an exciting place for me as well. So I'm facilitating. And then in 2023, I'm currently just working on really setting up some, amazing calls, connecting with such talented artists and finding ways to bring them in, finding opportunities for Wilder to be a part of. And so it really is it's still in that stage where I'm just like writing and contacting and just kind of growing the space and enjoying where it's at. I'm just enjoying the members that are there and connecting with them the best that I can. So hopefully there will be, some more things in the future.
That sounds amazing. That sounds like a great year,
Yes, definitely.
I love it. Okay. Let's see. I don't know. Did we cover the benefits of joining a creative community, or did you want to talk about some of the benefits? I don't know.
Yeah. I think, we talked about just like the encouragement. I think the accountability is huge. I've had a couple people message me and they're just like, I'm ready to commit. So it's like when you almost commit to yourself to say like, okay, I am going to put myself, my art, my creating a priority. I think it holds you accountable. Now you're a part of this group and you're sharing, what you're doing. So there are so many benefits with it, and being known in the community. It's amazing when someone joins and I share kind of the founders posts and people start connecting just right away, and it's just it's like brings a different level, I think, to the connecting out there in the big world of Instagram. It kind of brings you to your people. You find your people, and it's so important.
Oh, there's so many. Yeah. It's so fun. And I think that would be so cool to stand in the background and kind of see all of these different things pan out and play out, and artists interacting and collaborating and seeing them grow and their practice. Oh, it's just got to be the best feeling ever. I love it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Elyse, I really want to know, name a dream collaboration or project.
Yes.
If you want to.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I've been, connecting with different artists to bring them in for calls. So I'm kind of setting up 2023. And so those are all collaborations that are just, very dreamy. I'm like, wow, this, artist inspires me, or they have so much to share. Is there a way we can get them on a Zoom call? That's like the magic of having like the host for the Zoom calls. You get this person and you can ask them. So I have a couple of those that I'm really looking forward to. And then, projects. I would love to get something in print with the members and of Wilder. And I'm not exactly sure, how exactly I'm going to do it, but I have someone I'm reaching out with. But finding some way to get, something in print for the work of the artist there. And then even some type of way of, maybe a podcast with collage specific. I think there's one out there that I really love, the Weird Show that I listen to. And so who knows? I'm like, there's so much, and I journal about it. I try to at least once a week, like take some time and say, where are we going? What kind of dreams, what kind of big dreams and goals. So who knows what's, on the horizon, but I'm thinking about it, I'm writing about it, and I'm excited for what comes up.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited just hearing you talk about it. And it's so fun. If you hear, I have kids with friends over and I said, don't go out in the yard while I'm interviewing. And of course they're all out playing Ghosts in the Graveyard, screaming their heads off.
Oh, I
Like,
get
why?
it. It's all good.
Oh,
I
I think they
know.
heard me say go play in the yard instead of don't go play in the yard.
Okay.
No,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
my bad. That was a fail on my end.
No, I understand. For a
Okay,
living.
I have a rapid round of questions for you if you're interested in answering them.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm having so much fun chatting with you, Sarah.
You are? Is there, before we do that, is there
Yes.
anything else you want to share? I'm trying to think. Um, what
You know,
else?
I do have something I want to share, and I was thinking
Okay.
about it before our call,
Yes.
and it's kind of around community. And I think that especially when I first started, this was something that I learned really early on, was how to build community, not in a way of like, ooh, follows and likes, but in a way
Mm-hmm.
of, you know, finding a way to connect with the people that are in your community or even outside your community or even someone that you just admire. And one of the things that has really worked for me is, when I discover a new artist or I discover somebody that I'm like, oh my gosh, I love their work, and it doesn't have to even be collage specifically, but
Mm-hmm.
dropping, a comment on their post. So really building, I guess this is how I would say building a community has worked the best for me. And I've heard this, this is not something that I thought of, and it's something that I've heard along the way, through all of the different artists that I've met. And it's like dropping a comment on their post, even just something really simple. If you see something that you genuinely love that's out
Mm-hmm.
there,
Mm.
drop a comment, share a little bit of love. And then whenever I meet somebody new, sometimes I'll just like post something up in my stories. Like I'll look through their work. I'm like, this is amazing. And this is even on like my personal account. I do this on Wilder. I share a lot in the
Mm-hmm.
feed, of different people, but I'll just share something of theirs. Like just post it up into my stories. It takes me, 5 seconds to do. And it starts that genuine connection. Like, hey, I
Mm-hmm.
love your work in a
Mm-hmm.
genuine way. And I think that is honestly the best way to grow and meet other people and be a connector online, is just genuinely sharing and showing the love, putting out what you would like to receive.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. And having meaningful interactions, right? Because that's
Yes.
the point, not
Yes.
just saying like cool collage or,
Yeah.
I like this,
Yeah.
but something very specific about it. What do you like about it?
Yeah.
Or
What do you
what,
like? And
yeah, why,
definitely.
yeah, what do you love
So
about
being in
this?
a community, is wonderful. And then, interacting in a meaningful way can just take it to a whole another level,
Mm-hmm.
is being interactive in a genuine way. It's just such a way to grow.
And you're so good at that, Elyse. You are so good
Thank
at
you.
that. I mean, that's just
Thank
a
you.
natural thing. And I see you doing it. And I think it's so inspiring and fun to watch. And
Thank you.
I definitely feel like it goes around, right? What goes around comes
Yeah.
around. So putting out that good
Yes.
energy, being a good force, being like the opposite of a troll.
Yes. Yes. I drop a
Yeah.
lot into DM, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love that. Or,
Yes.
I love what you're working on. And it is genuine. I love so much. And
Yeah.
sometimes it can be
Yeah.
tricky. I'm like, okay, time to
I
put the
know.
phone down, make some art, because I
How do you,
could just like all day look at it and be like, oh my gosh, that's
I know.
amazing. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. It's
I'm
easy to
same.
do.
I'm
Yeah.
same. It's like I feel it. Yeah, I follow so many artists on Instagram, and I love Instagram just for that because it's like, oh yeah, I love what you're doing, or oh that's so
Yes.
cool, and it's a positive thing. What do you think about Instagram now? Because I've heard so many people complaining about it.
Yes.
What's your take on it, especially starting your new platform? Where are you at with Instagram? Are you on TikTok, or when you talk about social media, are you pretty much talking about Instagram? What do you
Yeah.
think?
For the most part, I'm on Instagram. And it's so funny. One of my favorite people that I like to follow, I've been following. At one point, I lived in Las Vegas, and I heard him speak there in like a coffee shop. I don't know if you're familiar with
Mhm.
Gary
Yeah.
Vaynerchuk, but I
You
follow
heard him in
Gary
a
V.
coffee shop?
Yeah, when I was in Vegas, I worked for Zappos, and he came to like speak in downtown, and it was just like this big thing. And so I've been following him ever since. And he has so much to say about
Yeah.
that. And I love his take on it, of like, you know what? You can sit and you can be like, oh my gosh, like, or you
Mhm.
can just do and
Yeah.
like
Yes.
and do. And so I'm just like, you know what? things are always going to be changing. Things are
Mhm.
always going to be moving. And I know that there's ways I could probably up my game when it comes to reels and TikTok. I'm
Yeah.
not on TikTok and all of
Yeah.
that. And so I'm like, I do want to be smart with where I put my time and energy, because if I'm putting all of my time and energy this to something that's not,
Mhm.
reaching. So it's like you have to be smart of where you're putting your time and energy. And but I really, like, every day I just go there and I do, like I said, like the DMs and just like the comment and just trying to make other people feel, when I genuinely compliment their work and all of that. And I'm just out there and I'm doing it. And
Mhm.
I'm just gonna keep doing that and
Mhm.
put my head down and just do the work. And
Mhm.
that's there's so much when it comes to that,
Yeah.
but I'm just gonna keep creating and keep
Yeah.
sharing it with the world, and try not to spend too much time with the,
Yeah.
negative parts of it. Because yeah,
Right.
it's going to be always changing,
Mhm.
I feel like. So I follow Gary Vee. He shares a lot with like content creation, and
Mhm.
I find it very valuable. So I
Yeah.
follow him.
He
And
definitely is one that's like, just be, just do the work. Stop talking.
yeah,
Like,
it
just,
puts the fire under your butt. It's like, you
yeah,
know what?
for sure.
Quit and quit the and just go do. And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, I like that.
Yeah. And he's all about
Yeah.
consistency. And that's a thing
Yes.
that it's not fun. I know I'm should be looking at myself as I say this, because I'm not a consistent poster, but
Yeah.
I will go on there and interact consistently. Maybe, I don't
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I think that
He does.
yeah.
Yeah. He gives such good tips too about like how to take like one piece of content that you make and then be able to utilize it in every possible way. Taking like a clip and putting it here and taking a post and putting it there. And then maybe in like a month, like repost it, so that you are just not having to work so hard for each piece of content. It's like if you make something that's really good, reuse it, like, or use it again, share it
Mhm.
somewhere else, share it over here. And
Mhm.
and I like that, because some days it's like, oh, what do I post? But it's like, you did a podcast maybe 6 months ago. You don't want it
Yeah.
to just like never be to the surface again. So it's just, he always shares stuff like that, like clever ways of just using, your time to the best of your ability,
Yeah.
and finding ways to connect and share.
Yeah.
Is,
I'll put
what we're
him in the show
doing.
notes if people don't know who
Yeah.
Gary Vee is.
It's pretty hardcore. I mean, he can be a
I
little
know.
like
He swears
intense.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's very intense. And
He's
some
so
days
intense.
I'm just not in the mood. Like I always have like like when I'm really fired up, I'm like, I need a little Gary Vee kick in the butt. And
Yeah.
then some days I'm like, I need more calm. And so you kind of, find your creators that you're
Yeah.
um
I know.
interested in.
What if I start creating Gary Vee like stuff and I'm like, what are you
Oh my
doing?
God. Yeah. Like really
Message me. Let
no,
me know. Be like,
yeah.
that's not your vibe, Sarah. You're from the Midwest. You can't,
Yeah.
nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah, it is. It's intense. It's really, if you need
Yeah.
a fire, like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like light
The world needs
a
that.
little fire.
We all
Yeah.
need it. Yeah. He's like,
Yeah.
stop talking about it and just do it. And his story is
Hmm.
pretty cool. It's inspirational. And
Yes.
to talk about, are you in it for the long game? I know that's a big thing
Yes.
for him. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And
Which
that's so huge.
I know. Definitely. Okay. How can we support you before I go to rapid round? How can we support
Oh,
you? Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're online, I'm so happy to connect, like we had talked
Mhm.
about. Definitely find me on, Instagram, Wilder Collage. Check out the Wilder Collage artists. Like, there's so many talented people I'm posting in the feed, and there's, the website, there's interviews, there's so much there. So definitely check that out. If you love collage or if you love art and you want to support it in any way, there is a supporter tier on Facebook. It's or on the Patreon. It's $3 a month, and it really makes a big difference to be able to support me in this work. And then, yeah, check out the artists, and I'm here too, so to support.
Yeah.
So I'd love to connect.
Yes. It's so fun. It's
Fun.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I love how the importance of play and how collage
Yes.
really can give you that opportunity to play. And that's such
Yes.
a needed thing right now for adults. We all need
Yes.
to play more. So
Yes.
So fun. It's all about having fun. It's not
I
necessarily, I
encourage.
love that about your group too, because it's not, I think there's a time and a place for, if you're an artist, to be in a group that has more of the marketing piece and the selling
Hmm.
piece, and your piece is just more focused in this creation part, which is
Yeah.
very cool. So I
Yes.
love that. Yes.
Yes.
All right. Rapid round of questions. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I don't have my questions in front of me, but I've asked them enough times. I think I know which ones they are. So we're just going to
Okay.
go with it. Top of
Let's do it.
mind, no judgment. You know the drill. So,
Oh yeah.
Elyse, what is your favorite color? I think I know it. What is it?
It is. It's pink. And
Oh, it's
I
pink?
it's pink. I have
Yay.
three. I have three.
Okay.
But there was so many years where I was just like, pink can't be my favorite color. And then I'm like, you know what? Like I love it. And I love like the bright pink, like the watermelony or fluorescent.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love bright pink and
Mm-hmm.
then orange and green. Those are kind of my
Mm-hmm.
three favorite colors. And I love black and white. So like those are my
Mm-hmm.
colors that I kind of focus on is like
I love
pink.
it. I was gonna say orange would be your favorite color.
Yeah, I do. I love orange. Yeah, I have
I
some
love
like
orange
my
too. Hot
yeah.
pink, yes. I own a lot of hot pink things.
Yes.
I knew we were
Yes.
friends for a reason. Okay. All right, Elyse. Book or movie mention that you want to bring up. Could be both.
Oh, yes. Oh
Could
my
be
gosh.
anything.
I love books more than anything. Like I will if I had a time to myself, it would be going to a bookstore and I could spend an entire full day. Right now in my book bag, I've heard you talk about it. I was reading it yesterday, was Big Magic. I try to
Mm,
read it once a year. And I've heard
mm-hmm.
you talk about it on the podcast. I
Mm-hmm.
think Victoria from Visionary Art Collective was just sharing it like the
Yeah,
other day too. And I was like, hey, I'm reading that right
I
now.
know. You
So
read
that's
it once a year?
definitely I try to. Yes,
You do?
I do.
Ooh, that's
Yes, I
good.
do. I think I'm on like my third, maybe fourth. Like I remember when my littlest one was really young, like reading it then, and I keep it like I lost the cover for it. And it's so beat up, and I just keep it out, and I
So
try to
good.
read it at least once a year. Yes, so good.
Do you get something
Elizabeth
different every time
Gilbert,
you read it?
every time. Yep.
I love that. That book is
Yes.
magic.
It is. It just reminds you because you can get so in your head, and it's just like, yeah, it just even the chapter I was reading yesterday, it was just like, um, it's not always going to work out. It's like that long game, kind of like what we were
Mhm.
talking about, where it's like
Mhm.
if you're in it and you're really in it, like a little setback won't take you out. Like you would just keep going. You're going to have like the bet, like how she talks about how some people, they make like a really good collection and it sells out, and then it's like you're almost paralyzed by fear to like make anything
Yeah.
again
Yeah.
because you're like, how do I ever do what I did before? And like there are times you post up and like stuff sells or it
Mhm.
doesn't, or you like just keep going and keep making because you're an artist and like
Yeah.
that's what you need to do. And I'm like,
Oh, that book is
so
such a
that's
gift, isn't
yeah,
it?
it is. Yes.
And there were some parts of it where I felt like, wow, I totally understand the world more. I understand things so much better now, like ideas and how they float around. And then if you don't grab hold of an idea, somebody else will.
Yes. Yes.
Gummy vitamins. I
Oh,
had that idea way before anybody else. I was
ah,
like, why don't
yes.
they make these for adults? And now you go to Target and there's
Oh yeah.
1,200 different kinds of gummy vitamins for adults. I could have,
Yeah.
that could have been the big
Oh,
thing for me. But anyway, like
yes.
why?
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, I just love that book. That makes me want to read it again, which never occurred to me, but you know,
Yeah.
it's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, a
Yeah.
movie? Did you want to have a movie mention or no?
I am it's almost like you said, no judgments because I don't watch like a lot of new stuff. Like I have my little comfort movies because I don't spend a lot of time watching movies. So when I do,
Mhm.
it's typically on an airplane when there's nothing else that I can do and it's just
Mhm.
kind of a
Mhm.
downtime, or else like in the evenings if I'm cutting stuff out, I will maybe watch like Ever After or something. It's like movies
Nice.
from when I was probably like early 2000s, like the
Mhm.
rom-coms. I
Yeah.
will go back
Fun.
to those. But
Yes.
I do like watching some shows sometimes. So
Yeah.
do, when I'm working, I'll have like New Girl up or just something
Mm-hmm.
like that where I'll,
Mm-hmm.
watch like a new series or something. But I don't actually just like sit and watch TV pretty much ever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just don't have time for that, but
Yeah. I
once in
know.
a while.
You can only do so much, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. My evening time is like either working on stuff or I'm gonna read, and then my husband watches TV. Anyway.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you can't, I mean, you can't like read and watch TV at the same time, or, collage
Yeah.
and yeah. Okay.
But
No
I can do my
judgment.
clippings. So I'll like tear out, and then once I have a big pile of like
Mm,
torn out pages,
mm-hmm,
then it's like I have to sit and kind of cut everything out. And so
mm.
that's when I'll like throw on a show or something
Okay.
and
The clipping
kind of
time.
work on. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, Elyse. Idea generation. Speaking of ideas, I get all my great ideas when I'm driving around in my car. Some people get them when they're in the shower. Where do your ideas hit you? Where do you get your ideas?
I would have to say the majority of the time is when I am journaling.
Mm,
And I was just thinking of this yesterday because it had been a long time since I journaled. It's one
mm,
of the things that like gets pushed out of my schedule first.
mm-hmm,
It's like the
mm-hmm,
first thing to go. And I hate that because I love it so much. It's like that um where I'm actually with my thoughts, and when I journal it out, it's almost like a therapy to
mm-hmm.
myself. Like I
Yeah.
can and ideas will just like come to me as I'm journaling. And so I just freehand write. And
Mm-hmm.
so the past 2 nights I've done that before bed where I'll just lay. I prefer the morning, but mornings are almost impossible. There
Yeah.
is no
Yeah.
calm in my mornings unless, when I get
Yeah.
up really early, but that's typically for a reason if I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing something that day. So my mornings are pretty chaotic. So it is like right before bed, put my
Mm-hmm.
phone away, and then I will stream write. And that's
Mm,
so many of my ideas are just from writing.
mm. Do you ask yourself questions when you're journaling, or do you just like write, like writing pages?
It depends. Sometimes I'm a free writer, like, and I know that a lot of people struggle with that and they need like prompts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just have never struggled with that ever. I will just like write and write and write and write. I could do 1 page, I could do 5, I could do 10 of just like writing.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't even have to, be about anything specific. I jump from one thing to the next, one leads to another. But I did a workshop with Sig Harvey, who's a photographer who does like different mind mapping. It's interesting because Twiggy talked about that even in her hosted call. Twiggy
Mm-hmm.
Boyer Art shared about it too. But it's like the mind mapping and it's a free write. And she'll
Mm-hmm.
say like, I am sitting in this room is like a prompt.
Mm,
And then it just kind of, you start talking about what's in the room and then it leads to other things. But I've
mm,
never really needed prompts. I just write and write
mm.
and write. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think journaling helps me a lot. Like,
Yes.
so good.
So
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a necessary, I feel like, for my creative life. And the ideas will generate, and it's that unconscious. It's like it's coming from me, but I don't slow down enough in the day
Yeah.
to think of it all the
Yeah.
time. So it's like if I want to access it, I have to slow down and actually physically write,
Mm-hmm.
because then I think it just like slows me down enough to think of the
Mm-hmm.
ideas. And so then I'll circle things, I'll be
Mm,
free writing and I'm like,
mm-hmm.
ooh, that's something I want to implement. So I'll like circle it so that I can go back then to my
Mm,
journal on like a to-do list admin day. And I'll be
mm.
like, oh, I wanted to do this, this, and this. Like I'm
Oh,
gonna add that to my to-do list.
oh,
But it's like
cool. I love
typically
that.
comes from a journal entry. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. Mine's like, yeah, my journals used to be like really nice handwriting, like gotta make sure it's legible. And then one day I was like,
Okay.
why? So it's
Yeah.
just crazy. I feel like
Scribble it out.
my family's gonna find these journals someday and not even be able to read them. They'll be like, what the world? Anyway, that's
Okay.
awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
next question. Wrapping this up here.
Yes.
If you could be good at anything, what's something that you're not good at, but you wish you were good at? Does that make
Oh
sense?
goodness. Yes. Does it have to be
Could be
outside of
anything.
the arts?
Like for me,
Outside
it's
of the arts.
volleyball, like forget
Okay.
it, sports, but
Cooking.
really?
Yes, maybe I'm like, I just don't think I've ever like put in the work, but I'm like, I would really love to get better at like cooking healthy meals. I'm a
Mm.
preparer. I like
Mhm.
throw stuff together, but I don't
Mhm.
cook. And
Mhm.
obviously it's such a necessary thing, especially with two boys that are like
Mhm.
growing. Um, I prepare, I throw stuff together, but I would love to be better at, and like I measure everything down. Both of my sisters will like go in the kitchen and they'll throw stuff. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like you're not measuring anything. It like,
Mhm.
I get like nervous about it. And so
Mhm.
I like measure everything down. And so I don't trust myself in the kitchen.
Mhm.
And it's something I wish that I had if I could be better at something, it would
Mhm.
definitely be cooking healthy meals.
Okay. I think starting out is like find some recipes, try them. And I'm
Yes.
guessing that your sisters cook, so you get to a point with a recipe where you've done it enough times that you don't even need the
You
recipe and you
don't
just kind of
need it.
eyeball it.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. If you need recipes, I have some. So
Okay. I
I
might
don't
have
know.
to
I know what you're
connect with
looking
you on
for.
that.
Yeah, definitely. Got some good ones. And with kids, sometimes it's like you don't have a lot of time or the
Yes.
planning ahead part. And that's, yeah,
Yes.
like I said, it's next
Definitely.
level. Okay.
Next
What
level.
other question am I missing here? Favorite color? Da-da-da.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Is there a creative prompt or some kind of creative challenge you want to offer my listeners as we close the interview here? Something.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of where I just heard this because it's something that I did a little bit one evening, but it was like in collage, there was someone that was like, I'm gonna just take three elements because getting into like getting going sometimes can be like you're
Mhm.
staring at a blank page, you're like, I have no idea. So
Yeah.
it's like cutting out three elements. It can be a person, a color, a shape, a texture, and any, shape that you want. And putting the three of them together and making a collage of three and then doing it
Mm.
again the next day and the next day. So like just three elements just to get yourself, in that creation mode. And then sometimes from that I'll build, into a different collage. But I think that that's a really good way if you're like staring at the blank page and you're like, I just have no idea where to start. It's like the three elements, put it,
Mm.
on the page, glue it down and move to the next one.
Oh,
So
I
that might
love
be a
that.
fun one. And I'm trying to think because I would love to credit. I do not like to say anything without giving credit to who said it. And I just cannot think off the top of my head.
Mm.
It was someone that does
If you
that
think of it, we'll put it in the
work.
show notes. It's no
Okay.
big deal. But this
Yeah.
has been
Super
so
fun.
fun. And I love that. I love that prompt. I think that's really good because sometimes you just have too many choices, right? It's like,
Yes.
this is
Yes.
overwhelming. And yeah. Oh,
Yep.
I love
Just
that.
three.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, Elyse. And we can find you at Wilder Collage. We can
Yes.
find you at Elyse Jokinen. And what's your website? We'll have that in show notes.
Yeah, it's ElyseJokinen.com and then WilderCollage.com. So pretty. And if you find one on Instagram, like the other one is like right in my bio. So you can kind of find it all. But there's a lot over there and so much to explore on even Wilder Collage is the website of artists. So definitely check that out.
I love it. And I'm so glad to be a part of it. It's an honor. And it's been so fun talking to you today. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time. I'm so glad. I hope everybody finds you and follows you and supports you and all
Uh,
the good things. So
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah, for doing this and all that you do for the artists and the communities. And I appreciate you so much. And I cannot wait to share this. And we made it happen. I'm
yeah,
so proud of us. 'Cause it's like,
our schedules, crazy time
yeah,
changes, and
yes, yeah, we made it happen. And this work is so important in bringing inspiration and sharing. And I appreciate you for it. Thank you so much for having me.
thank you for being here. And thanks everyone for tuning into today's episode of I Like Art. Thanks again, Elyse. You're amazing and love to chat with you again in the future.
Yes.
And I hope everyone gets in touch with you. Thanks for sharing everything. And until further ado, I hope everyone has a great day. Thanks again. Thank you, Elyse.
Bye. Have a great rest of your day,
Bye.
Sarah. Thank
You
you.
too. Thank you.